Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am live. I'm having a little bit of technical difficulty, but I was determined to get this live going today. Happy Monday. Happy Monday. I am excited you are here with me to transform your concerns with public speaking into confidence. Right now, I am having to use my phone in order to stream this live master class. So what I will do is I will actually turn my screen so you can follow along with the presentation I prepared for you to help give you valuable information about our discussion today. If you can hear me okay, please send a chat to me to let me know you can hear me okay. And I'm going to turn the screen around. So this is our public speaking masterclass, and I ask your pardon that I have to display it this way. This is our public speaking masterclass. I do welcome you, and I have a question for you. Have you ever heard this statement before? Have you ever heard that your largest fear carries your largest growth? Sometimes our fears are good for us. Sometimes our fears help us to cross into new territory and help us to discover new characteristics about ourselves we didn't know we possessed. When we're talking about transforming our concerns with public speaking into confidence today, and I'm very excited we are together. Conversation about how we can do that. Thank you for being here with me. Thank you very much for this opportunity to spend time with me. I value the fact that you've chosen to spend your valuable time with me. Time is the most valuable commodity we have. Once it's spent, we can't get it back. There's no way to get the time back. And that's why I'm excited you're spending your valuable time with me. And I'm going to ask you to stay with me until the end of our conversation because I have a bonus tip for you that you can start using today to help transform your concerns with public speaking into confidence. After all, you have businesses, you're professionals, you are people in leadership positions, and your voice has the power to transform not only the lives of the people that you will speak with, but your life. So stay with me until the end. And I will ask that you minimize distractions because this time is for you. This is a developmental opportunity for you. I'm going to have to put my glasses on. I need to be able to see. There we go. I was going to take my glasses off because there's a glare and I know that can be a distraction, but I'm excited to be able to see. But I ask you to minimize distractions because this is your time and I'm excited to share with you strategies to help you learn to transform your concerns with public speaking into confidence. Because after all, there are some people who want to hear from you, who want to purchase products from you, and they will connect with you because you are relatable to them. Now, you're in the right place if you are either nervous about going live on social media or in Zoom conferences. That's one reason you're in the right place. You're in the right place if you're worried about rambling when you're speaking. If that's a concern for you, you're in the right place. You're in the right place if you're concerned no one will listen to you when you speak. You're in the right place. So let's talk about which one of these reasons is your motivation for being here with me today on this beautiful Monday afternoon. Day one of our public speaking masterclass. Is it number one, you're nervous about going live on social media or in a Zoom conference? If it's number one, send a chat to me that says number one is the reason I am here. I am so nervous about going live on social media or in Zoom conferences. I don't know what to do with myself. Send a chat to me if it's number one. Send a chat to me that says number one. If it's number two, I am worried about rambling. That's a concern some people have, making sure folks understand what they are saying when they're speaking. You want to get across, you want to get your message across with clarity so that it has impact and it helps people. If number 2 is your concern, send a chat to me that says number 2. And number 3, I am concerned no one will listen. Is that a concern for you? If that is a concern for you, send a chat to me that says number 3. Now, some people have a concern other than the concern I listed. If so, send a number 4 in a comment to me. Send a number 4 to me in a comment. Whatever your concern, I am here to help you. You are in the right place, whatever your concern. So let's get started, okay? I'd like to tell you a little bit about who I am before we go any further, just in case we haven't met before. My name is Shalonda. I am a public speaking coach, and it is an honor for me to help entrepreneurs, people in leadership positions, professionals like you learn to transform their concerns with public speaking into confidence, because your voice has power and you can have impact on the lives of other people and yourself when you use your voice. Here's something about me that I love telling people. I always think it's interesting to see the reaction when people hear this. I work at a university where our mascot is a fighting okra. That's our mascot. I work at Delta State University. I am a professor. I teach public speaking, interpersonal communication. I teach communication courses. And it has always been a pleasure for me to watch the students go from feeling anxious and fearful about giving speeches and speaking before groups of people to becoming confident speakers. As a matter of fact, there was one young lady who, in the beginning of the semester, when she gave her very first presentation, she cried so hard. She almost made me cry. And I was thinking to myself, oh my goodness, I hope this young lady does not hyperventilate. I know CPR, but I don't really like doing it. But the thing I admire about her, even though she cried as hard as she did for a 60-second speech, she stuck with it. The entire 60 seconds she cried. Well, by the end of the semester, which was a 16-week semester, she was the most confident presenter in the room. And I said, wait a minute. I know this is not the same young lady who stood in front of us and cried. And when I asked her what was different from 16 weeks earlier, where she cried and she stuck to her speech, but she was so nervous, that was her reaction to standing before those people and speaking and becoming so confident that her gestures were bold and authoritative. Her voice had variety. She was not monotone in any way. Her constituents were hanging on to their seats in awe of the information that she had to share in a 10-minute speech in 16 short weeks. When I asked her what was the difference, she said, I learned what I'm dealing with and how to control it when I feel the concerns that I have about public speaking. That's the difference. And that's such a gratifying experience for me to help people learn those concerns, how to address those concerns to become more confident speakers. And it's so gratifying that I've decided to step outside of the classroom and offer this service to professionals. People who are already in leadership positions, who own businesses, who are professionals in the workforce who haven't had the opportunity to learn how to become confident public speakers. And I started a company called Audacious Communication Strategies. And I tell you again and again and again, it has been an honor for me to work with professionals, people in leadership positions, and learn to become confident speakers. And of course, you see, I have presence on TikTok and Instagram. I also have a YouTube channel because I want to help as many people as I can become confident speakers. Now, can you imagine yourself becoming like that young lady in a short amount of time, knowing what to do in order to feel confident about sharing all of the valuable information you have with people who want to hear from you? That's a number one secret that I have to share with you today. There are people who want to know what you know. There are people who want to learn how to do what you know how to do. There are people who want products, goods, and services from you because you are relatable to them. And imagine the difference you can make in other people's lives when you develop the strategy and the confidence to speak. But more than that, imagine the doors that are going to open for you because you've developed the ability to become a confident public speaker. Well, that's why I'm here. And that's what we're talking about today. On our list of topics for discussion, we will talk about glossophobia. Have you heard of glossophobia before? Have you ever heard of glossophobia? Well, we'll talk about glossophobia. We will also talk about anxiety versus fear. The two are different, and we'll talk about why it's important to know the difference between the two. We will talk about techniques for building your confidence. We will talk about those techniques. And I will also share with you how to work with me in a more one-to-one environment. Listen, I am going to share information with you. Like I said, if you stay to the end, you'll get a tip you can start using today. I am definitely going to share information with you today. At the same time, one of the elements that's missing is me being there to help guide and coach you. Having a coach, having a mentor, having somebody that can see where you are strong in areas for further development is how you really develop the skill. And that's what I offer. That coaching, that mentoring, that guidance when you are becoming a more confident speaker. That's what we're talking about today. Let's start by talking about glossophobia. Have you heard of glossophobia? If you've heard of glossophobia, send a number 2. If this is your first time hearing of glossophobia, send a number 1. Let me know if you've heard of glossophobia before. There we go. We got brighter light now. That's better. All right. So glossophobia, the prefix in that word glosso, Glosso, means of the tongue, to speak. Phobia, of course, means fear. You know, when you hear the word phobia, you know it has something to do with fear. Where glossophobia means speaking fear. Where does this speaking fear come from? I'm going to share a little bit of information about that with you right now. In our brain, we have something I call a personal protection system. It is technically called the amygdala. The amygdala is about the size and shape of an almond. And there is where your fight or flight response originates. Are you familiar with the fight or flight response? If you are, send a comment to me that says, I'm familiar. There is a third response associated with the fight or flight response. It is called the freeze response. And I'm going to check my laptop to see if we ever got any connection over here on the laptop. It is called the freeze response. All right. It still says we're live. I'm not sure what's happening over here on the laptop, but we'll keep going. It is called the freeze response. Now, this is how the flight, fight, or freeze response works when it comes to public speaking. Number 1, the flight response. If a person avoids public speaking engagements, if you are refusing to go live, which that's okay, I'm not judging you, or if you decline the opportunity to speak, that's the flight response associated with public speaking. I have encountered someone who was so afraid of being called out and speaking before a group of people, they didn't even want to be in the audience. That's how serious their flight response was. They did not want to be in the audience. Now, the second response that I want to talk about that comes from the amygdala, associated with glossophobia, and the amygdala is that almond-sized and shaped compartment in our brain where the fight, flight, freeze response comes from. The second one is the freeze response. For people who get in front of their audience and they see all those eyes looking at them and only them, and when they get ready to open their mouth and nothing comes out, that's the freeze response. That also comes from the amygdala. Their vision gets blurry, their mind goes blank, they can't force any words to come from their mouths. All of that is associated with glossophobia. The flight response, when a person declines opportunities to speak, they're concerned about going live. The freeze response, when they are showing up and they can't even open their mouth and force hello to come out. That's the freeze response. And the third response associated with glossophobia is what you're in right now. It's the fight mode. You learn techniques to overcome the concerns that are interfering with your ability to stand before an audience and speak. So that's what glossophobia is all about. It's the fear of public speaking, and you respond to public speaking the way you do because of a small almond-shaped and sized compartment in your brain called the amygdala. I call it your personal protection system. And it's there to help keep you comfortable and safe. The moment you try something new that's outside of your normal routine, the amygdala and your brain are going to do what it can to help keep you comfortable and safe, because that's an unusual experience and the outcome can be unpredictable. But when you learn techniques associated with public speaking, then you can predict more, and that level of glossophobia can decrease. Now, let's talk about two of the main emotional reactions associated with public speaking. One is anxiety, public speaking anxiety. The other is public speaking fear. They're not the same, and often people use them interchangeably. And when I bring up the importance of knowing the difference between the two, I'm often asked, well, why does it matter? Well, I'll tell you why it matters. In the same way, you know the difference between when you're hungry and when you're feeling ill in your stomach. You know specifically what to do to address each of those sensations. Although they're both associated with your stomach, it takes different steps to address them. The same applies to addressing public speaking anxiety versus addressing public speaking fear. There are different steps you will take to address each of them. And in the same way, you are familiar with the sensation in your body that lets you know you're hungry or you're feeling ill in your stomach. It's important to become aware of what's happening in your body that's letting you know you are experiencing public speaking anxiety versus public speaking fear. I'll tell you the difference briefly between public speaking anxiety and public speaking fear. Public speaking anxiety is concerns about what may happen when you start speaking. That means you're not in the current situation where you are actually speaking. Public speaking anxiety can happen 1 month before your speaking engagement, 2 weeks before your speaking engagement, 3 days before your speaking engagement, 1 hour before your speaking engagement, or even if you are the next presenter. The point with public speaking anxiety is you have not yet started to speak. Hang in there with me to the end of this conversation, and I will show you a technique to deal with public speaking anxiety specifically. But it's important to recognize the symptoms in your body that lets you know you are experiencing public speaking anxiety specifically. When it comes to public speaking fear is what we call a primary emotion. It is a natural, uncontrollable reaction to whatever is happening in your environment that appears to be threatening to your physical safety, mental safety, and social safety. When it comes to public speaking fear, you'll know you're experiencing public speaking fear because it's happening. You'll get a rush of feelings in your body in the moment when you're speaking. So that rumble in the stomach, just as you're standing before the people and opening your mouth to speak, that's public speaking fear. Usually when my students come to me in a classroom and say, "Hey, Dr. Jones, my stomach is upset. Can I please reschedule and give my presentation another time?" I tell them, "No, you cannot." And the reason I tell them no is because I know that is fear manifesting in the form of an illness. And I teach them something that I am going to teach you at the end of this conversation if you hang around with me. Of course, I help them through it. But the important thing is they learn to identify the difference between public speaking anxiety, public speaking fear, and they take the steps to help them address whichever one they're experiencing. And most important, they also figure out which steps are best for them. Because I provide you with the tools, and sometimes you have to kind of decide which combination of tools work best for you. But you have resources to pull from to help you deal with that public speaking anxiety, public speaking fear. Some people experience anxiety more than fear. Some people experience public speaking fear more than anxiety. Some people experience both in an intense manner. But there is an answer to help deal with whichever the situation is for you. And that's why you're here, right? So question for you. Now that we've talked about glossophobia, and we've also talked about public speaking anxiety versus public speaking fear, how would you like it if you and I work together so that I can help you learn to own your voice and step into your power as a confident speaker? We'll start with the foundation, just like I talked about, glossophobia and public speaking anxiety, public speaking fear. There are a couple of more we work through. And there are strategies I teach to help you overcome those concerns. Specifically, I created the I Am Speaking strategy for entrepreneurs and people in leadership positions, professionals just like you, to help you learn how to transform those concerns with public speaking into confidence. And next month, in May, this is April, this is the end of April, in May 16th through May 20th specifically, I am excited to offer a public speaking workshop. The masterclass is great because you'll get information in the masterclass. But the workshop, we're actually going to put the information to work. It's going to give you practice. I am there working with you and showing you how to strengthen your strengths you already have and areas for further development. You can register for the public speaking workshop. We're going to talk about managing and controlling those emotions we just talked about, public speaking anxiety, public speaking fear. We'll talk about strategies for connecting with your audience, engaging them, getting their attention, keeping their attention, and leaving an unforgettable impression. We will also talk about speaking fluency and body gestures, body language. These are techniques we will hands-on in the workshop complete together. The workshop, again, is from May 16th through May 20th, and I am hosting it in a private Zoom conference because it's our private experience together. Would you like for me to work with you? Here's a little more information about the I Am Speaking strategy. The I specifically stands for identify and talk about the main problem you help to solve for your consumers. We start there. You are a problem solver. You offer value. You help to enhance the quality of life for other people. And we start with that very strength. The identify and talk about the main problem you as an entrepreneur. That's why you started your business. You help solve a problem. A person in a leadership position can help provide vision. Every person who encounters your business, whichever kind of business it is either a consumer or a potential consumer. And you solve problems for people who want your product, goods, or services. You, as a leader, guide the people in your organization to delivering the highest quality products, goods, and services. So we identify that. We start with the base. We identify that. And as we are identifying that, we learn how to control our emotional reactions associated with telling people about the main problem we solve. We learn specific techniques for that. And once we learn to control our emotions, we move on to the second phase, which is the A, arrange the information into understandable, easy to follow main points. In this particular step, we learn how to incorporate effective stories. That's what's going to help engage your audience. And the third step, once we arrange the information, is listen, there's no law that says we can't make brief notes. Making brief notes to help you remember your main talking points, to keep you on track and share this valuable information you have with the people who want to hear from you. And trust me, there are people who want to hear from you. They can relate to you. It doesn't matter if you have never spoken before or you're afraid, you're concerned about the sound in your voice, you have any concern. None of that matters. This strategy is an easy to remember 3-step approach to give you the confidence to say, I am speaking. And I am excited to help you learn it in the workshop. And here's what we will put into action in the actual workshop. These easy to use techniques to boost your confidence as a speaker, and they're easy to remember. So when you're in the moment, you can recall whichever technique you need to help you boost your confidence. Okay? We're going to put those into practice in the workshop. I will help you learn a technique called the ABCs of the introduction. This is what gets your audience's interest and attention from the first words you speak. We will be including interesting stories in your presentation. Stories help people to connect with you and with your goal as a speaker. We will also work on confident body language, power poses, gestures. Okay? These are the things we are putting into action in that workshop I am offering May 16th through the 20th. Session 1 and Session 2 of the workshop is called The Confident Speaker in You. It's time to wake that person up. They've got things to accomplish for you. That confident speaker inside of you, they have something to accomplish for you. Session 3 and Session 4 is Your Message Has Power. We structure the information to give it a power-packed impact on the people who will receive the information from you. Remember, you are relatable to the people you will service. And finally, Session 5 is called Act Like It. That's where we really hone that skill of speaking with confidence, using proper gestures, speaking with fluency, and really connecting with our audience members. There's a bonus. There's a bonus for participating in this particular masterclass. I have a business professional who's going to help us really structure how to pitch the sale. What? In this 5-day workshop, power-packed opportunity. Now, the workshop also includes learning material. There are things we are going to actually work on together, and you will keep that information for future reference. There are daily, I'm getting so excited to work with you. There are daily live Zoom sessions where we work together. I'm right there giving you direct feedback to help you develop that confidence. And that bonus, the professional who helps you to structure the information so that you know how to really hone in and make that sale. And this 5-day workshop is available to you for the low price of $150. It's an investment. It's an investment. It's an unbeatable investment. Now, you have two options. You can go ahead and enroll today and do something that you have never done. Unleash. Become 100% committed to unleashing the powerful speaker in you with this easy to remember 3-step workshop where we will hands-on put into practice the technique so that you'll know how to use it. Or option 2, do the same thing you've done over and over. I think option 1 is a very good investment. Now, let me say this to you. I am no different than any of you. I'm not special. My ability to be confident and speak on a live despite the obstacle I have faced today with technical difficulty, we keep going because we have information that we want to share with people. We overcome these obstacles. I am no different than you. We can learn how to still be confident in what we have to offer and speak with our audience despite any obstacles we encounter, despite any kinds of concerns we encounter, despite any of the reasons we talked about why you're here. Remember, you know it's time for you to start speaking confidently on social media and in Zoom conferences. Is that why you're here? What about you're tired of worrying about rambling when speaking to people? You want people to be engaged. You want to make sure your message is coming across with clarity. Is that why you're here? What about you're tired of doubting your ability to be engaging and interesting? Or maybe it was another reason that we didn't bring up, reason number 4. But why are you here? Is that why you're here? Well, again, remember, the workshop I am offering May 16th through the 20th will provide learning material to help you deal with whichever of those reasons you're here. Those daily Zoom conferences, I am right there with you. Coaching you, guiding you, supporting you, encouraging you, cheering for you as you transform your concerns into confidence. And that bonus, making a sales pitch, that's added value for the investment of $150, 5 days consecutively. Now, I asked you to stay with me to the end because we talked about glossophobia. We talked about public speaking fear. We talked about public speaking anxiety. And I told you I wanted to tell you how to work with me. The 5-day workshop is coming up for the investment of $150. But now I want you to be able to take something away from this conversation right now. I want you to have this one technique to help build your confidence and learn to overcome those public speaking fears and anxiety you experience. Everybody at some point or another faces fear. Everybody at some point or another experiences some type of anxiety. And here's the technique we learn in the workshop and we practice in the workshop. We take a personal bet on ourselves. And the word bet is an acronym for paying attention to our body, paying attention to our environment, paying attention to our thoughts, so that we know which specific emotional reaction we are experiencing. And we know what to do about the emotional reaction. So in your body, learn to identify the specific feelings you have that are letting you know this is anxiety particularly. And in addition to paying attention to your body, what's happening in your environment? Are you in the moment right now speaking, or is your speaking turn arriving? Is it coming in the future? Regardless of how near the future is the future next month, next week, tomorrow, or the next speaker? And then pay attention to your thoughts. Now, in the workshop, we explore various types of thoughts associated with public speaking. When we learn the difference between these thoughts, we know specifically how to change those thoughts, how to address those thoughts, so that those thoughts that are interfering with our ability to speak with confidence are not going to stop us. We are going to take control of those thoughts. When you take your personal bet on yourself, the next thing is to determine which specific breathing technique will help you to address either public speaking anxiety or public speaking fear. There are two different breathing techniques. I am going to share with you how to do those two different breathing techniques in our workshop. That's the first step to building your confidence as a public speaker. That brings us to the end of our conversation together today. I thank you for your patience with my technical difficulty, but hey, when we encounter these kinds of obstacles, there are opportunities to learn and grow. This is not happening tomorrow. I'm not sure what happened today, but we will fix it tomorrow. And I'm excited to see you back tomorrow so I can teach you the two different breathing techniques associated with public speaking fear and public speaking anxiety. Until we speak tomorrow, do something today to help make your greatest ambition your greatest accomplishment.